Yes, I think we are live now. Oops. Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome to the CXO Executive Sessions. Let's wait for 1 minute, and then we kick off. Let me just check here, and the people arrive, and then we can go. Lynn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's really wonderful to be here, and I'm excited for this mini webinar. Only 20 minutes, and I'll share some very exciting things that we did in Europe.
Perfect. So let me us and you, and we kick off.
That's right.
The link is going up now here, so we'll have to wait a second, and I'll be able to see in a few seconds. First, welcome everyone. I am Ricardo Gulco. I am the co-founder of the CXO. And today we have a continuation of a series that we are doing about CX ROI, because there's lots of discussion about that, and we are very practical. We want to make this very clear for you. Hello, Denise. Welcome. And so what we're going to do today is the following. We are going to talk about CX ROI with Lynn Hunsake, who is the CCO of Clear Action Continuum. And I think it'll be a great session because she's going to continue the clarification about CX ROI. Okay, that's what you saw and why you subscribed. The ECXO is a no-profit organization and is an open access, and we invite you all on board, whatever you want, okay? And we are trying to create a CX professional organization in Europe to create later on a maturity model for the entire enterprise in Europe, because we have different levels in different countries, and we want to make one Europe for everyone. I think it will be cool. So your questions today, okay, you can ask as we go, as we advance now, because it's a very short webinar with Lynn. So it's very important that you post your questions as soon as you can. So now I'm going to disappear, and you are going to see Lynn alone, and I'll be here asking your questions when you drop your questions here. All right, Lynn, the show is like your presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm here to talk to you about 3 levels of customer experience improvement and how you can focus on the second level in your customer experience work this year so that you can fast track ROI that's much higher than the quick wins that you've been pursuing so far. This is a much faster way to go about things than the journey mapping, which you can do anytime. But what we did when I was leading company-wide customer experience at Applied Materials, we set up the appointments with every account team in Europe and Asia and other places in the world. All of our engineering teams, everyone had their own one-day workshop. So I went to France and Scotland and so on, and they did the one-day workshop, and we got straight to the heart of the major issue, a chronic issue that was costing a lot of money, taking up a lot of resources from our customers and ourselves. And sure enough, it did take a while to execute the action plan, but we did it in a way that made the action plan stick. And throughout the entire year, the executives were focused on these customer issues, which was really wonderful to have the entire company doing their own part to make the customer experience much better, save us a lot of money, and also grow the revenue and relationship strength with our customers. So let me give you an idea how we did that. First of all, I want to bring to your attention a study that was done by London School of Economics, where I was quite intrigued to see that they were looking at how much revenue increase would happen if you reduced negative word of mouth by 1%, or if you increased positive word of mouth by 1%. I think we all have an idea what the conclusion might be, but I was surprised, and you will probably be as well, that it is actually 3 times higher revenue when you're reducing negative word of mouth. So stop to think about that for a moment. When you're reducing negative word of mouth, you're taking the pebbles out of your customers' shoes. You're freeing them up to recommend you without any inhibitions. You're freeing them up to be more productive in their life or business so that they can engage with you more, so that they can afford your premium products, and so that they can expand their purchases with you. So when you reduce the negative word of mouth, that means that you are actually making a stronger one-to-one ratio between what customers expected and what they got. When they have a pebble in their shoe, this is the reason for their negative word of mouth. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to say bad things about a certain brand. It's only because they had an expectation based on what you sold them, based on what you said, based on expectations that you didn't proactively manage. So if they feel like they didn't get what they wanted, this is the reason why they have the negative word of mouth. So it is important to, of course, address your detractors, but I'm going to show you a quicker way to make that happen that is also very sustainable and drives huge gains, not just quick wins. So this one-to-one ratio is what we're striving for in customer experience management. I explained last month. If you haven't seen that 20-minute webinar, you might like to take a look at it as well, because it's a good lead-in to what we're talking in today. But this is really the idea of customer experience management, to have that one-to-one ratio, which is brand integrity. Say what you do and then do what you say, right? So how does this actually translate to the money? Well, because you are reducing your costs by taking those pebbles out of your customers' shoes, your costs are lower, your margins are expanding. Also, customers are more willing to buy the higher priced product to have margin expansion. Secondly, because they don't have the negative word of mouth out there in the market that's tainting new prospects or recurring customers, your sales velocity is faster. This means the money is coming into your bank faster, which makes the payroll and everything easier. So you have less austerity or cost reduction initiatives in your company, more happiness as an employee. So this also leads to, of course, share of wallet, that customers will expand their purchases, maybe even give all their business to you because you don't put a pebble in their shoe, whereas everyone else in your industry does, right? So that expands share of wallet. And then finally, of course, share of market. Whereas if you were only covering the increasing positive word of mouth, more likely you're trying to drive share of wallet and market share, but not doing very much for margin expansion or sales velocity, or that might come after. So actually, if you're focusing at least 50% of your energy on reducing negative word of mouth, that will bless you in all of these ways. Now, the 3 levels of customer experience improvement starts with value rescuing. We're resolving each instance after there was a failure in the customer experience. This is the majority of the calls that come into your customer success or customer service organization, customer support. So we see that it's important to have first contact resolution, but it's even more important to have the issue not happen in the first place, or to have the issue resolved in total. Right, we could go on to understand this in detail, and I do that in my courses that you may be interested to see. But let's go on to see what the next level of CX improvement is: stopping the root cause. This is taking the pebble out of the customer's shoe. This is the part that the London School of Economics was talking about with reducing negative word of mouth. So when you stop recurrence, this is what I call the customer experience work compared to the customer service, customer support work. Customer experience work is primarily trying to stop the roadblocks of revenue. And the roadblock to revenue is all of this rigmarole that is causing pebbles in customers' shoes. When we stop those pebbles, we are creating a huge value in many ways. But even better value, the third level of CX improvement, is to prevent occurrence of issues in the first place so that issues don't even happen. Therefore, you don't have to resolve anything or stop anything. Now, this one can happen pretty much by educating every functional area in your organization. What are the customer expectations that relate to their role? That's a huge aspect of customer experience work that is usually not tended to as well as we need to. A lot of customer experience teams haven't gotten there yet. And I would recommend that the customer experience team focuses primarily on these top two levels of CX improvement, whereas the CS team is focusing primarily on this first level of improvement. All three levels are possibly equally important. And therefore, we need to make sure that our budget and our strategies and our time and energy allocation addresses each of these three levels in equal energy. It will help you prevent the roadblocks to revenue and also amplify revenue much more than what has been traditionally done in these past 5 years of 2020. So let's take a look at the stop recurrence, how the money happens. You get more money from this because you're freeing up the ongoing costs of so much resolution. And not only this, but a lot of customers never contact you when they have a pebble in their shoe, and therefore they just leave. They take their business elsewhere. So you're freeing up a lot of costs. You're also freeing up all those resources on your side and the customer side. On your side, the troubleshooters get to become value creators. The money that had to go to these issues of resolving them and all the remedies, all the refunds, the returns, the escalations, the incentives, the loyalty programs, those are the ongoing costs that I'm talking about. For that issue, that money isn't having to go anywhere anymore because the issue isn't happening. So therefore, you can put that money to so many value-added opportunities. Higher budgets in the sales and marketing or engineering, higher budgets for everybody, for example, salary increases, greater profit sharing, more hiring. So those are ways that we reallocate the freed up resources from these ongoing costs of a prevalent issue. And on the customer side, well, I've seen customers where they've had to take their salespeople away from selling out into the field to take photographs of the damaged product or so forth to get the refund or get the replacement and so on. It's crazy because you want your customer salespeople to be selling the maximum so that you can also be getting maximum orders from them, right? Now, when you free up your customer value, this is also giving them more energy to recommend and engage with you and buy more. So that's why I call it annuities. Annuities is the idea that you have a certain fund, but it keeps on giving. It keeps on giving year after year after year because you don't touch the principal. You keep on taking from the interest. And this is the same or similar concept that I'm talking about here. That is the huge value of these one-day workshops that I'm going to tell you how to do. And thirdly, what we also want to be balancing our time and our energy and resources for is stopping or preventing occurrence of issues in the first place. And how we do that? Well, we have to educate every organization across the company. What are the customer expectations that relate to them so that they can do things right the first time instead of throwing things over the fence to customer service, throwing things over the fence to put a burden on the touch points. We don't want that because that's a bad experience. So how we get started? In your surveys or whatever you're tracking, it doesn't have to be surveys, but you need to be tracking the customer experience beyond just what I recommend you. You need to know which of the aspects of my experience are not working out very well. So there's a lot of ways you can track that. Surveys is a traditional way, but now we can use all kinds of technologies and so forth to understand what are the big issues that are bothering customers. Now, ideally, you're using a correlation analysis because that's statistically significant. This is a statistical way to identify what are the real priorities to work on. So I like to have some overall questions like likely to rebuy, likely to recommend, overall satisfaction, something like this, as well as these moments of truth, and then correlate them to see which ones have the strongest relationship. The third step is you're going to create a Pareto chart. A Pareto chart is taking all of the easy to use comments of your customers, or perhaps all of the easy to use issues that have come into your CRM or your ERP or your material handling, refunds and returns and so forth. So you put all of that into the pot. And here we have an example. These things for the software couldn't download, couldn't find the file, couldn't read it or write in it. All kinds of things that were causing trouble for easy to use. And yeah, pardon me. This seemed to be on a timer. So this, you take all of these bars and add up to 100% on this side. So here we have the 80% cutoff line, and the 80% says 80-20 rule. You work on the 80% and pretty much everything is solved. So this is the problem that we have now in CX. Almost every CX expert is giving you bad advice to focus only on the quick wins. The quick wins don't move the needle. Yeah, Ricardo?
Yeah, I agree about. I just sorry, I'm listening what you're saying, so I'm. It's a great.
Okay, thank you. Right, so these useful many, they don't really move the needle sufficiently to remove that pebble in customer shoes. So we're not reaping the 3x revenue, right? So to get the 3x revenue from the London School of Economics study, they were pointing out, we have to resolve these vital few. And why do CX people usually not focus on these vital few? Because these issues usually require some cross-organizational coordination and collaboration to solve it. But don't be afraid. You can get the training to influence people and to keep the momentum, to keep this cross-organizational coordination going. I've done it for many years in your shoes on the hot seat, leading company-wide CX, starting as a VOC manager, and then continuing to lead global quality as head of global quality. But see, what we want to do is we want to work on the ones that are the vital few. So the next step is you get a group of 6 to 8 people of different functional areas: finance, IT, HR, supplier management, engineering, whatever. Get 6 to 8 people doing this exercise with the 5 whys. The thing that we had in that previous 80-20 rule, those are all symptoms. So you want your employees to say, why is this happening? Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Right? And so when they get to the 5th why, that is judged to be the 5th why, the real root cause. And that's what you want to create your action plan on. So you can create a single page strategy like this to put the root causes here. And then secondly, you're going to create an action plan that addresses the root causes one by one. Okay, you want to make sure it's one by one, not lipstick on a pig, but real solving, stopping this forever, permanently stopping these root causes. So The next part about this is you want to make sure it has high visibility in meetings. So this first agenda item in every staff meeting, in every operations review, why not put this whole chart there so that you can see what's going on? Don't just use the gold, yellow, what do you call, amber, red, and green chart, because this is so important. It's all about maximizing your revenue, taking the roadblocks away, 3x revenue by removing these pebbles from customer shoes. The fourth part is then focusing on this graph. This graph has to be something you're measuring internally, not something you're asking customers about. It's something you're tracking before customers see it, which is your mistake proofing this fifth why. You're mistake proofing the root cause. So this allows executive sponsorship and accountability when you're showing the chart at the beginning of every meeting, because if they're not knowing what's holding you up, what's going well, they can't be a spokesperson for you, and they can't drive the accountability or remove the roadblocks in your actioning. So make sure this has high visibility, and then also make sure that this internal metric, the prevention metrics, are the focus of your bonus, not the survey score. Make the survey score 20% or 10% or 0%, but make this internal metric, which I call a customer critical factor, make that at least 80% of the bonus and use that for recognition as well. So what we have described here is the outer loop of customer experience improvement. The inner loop is what most people focus on because that's what the technology companies teach you, but that's primarily damage control. It's not really solving the issue for all customers universally. The outer loop solves the issue for all customers universally. So we created that one-page strategy for every team: Scotland, England, France, Europe, Italy, Spain, and so on. Every place that we had operations, they each had their own single-page strategy. This is what we followed, just what I described on the previous slide, the entire outer loop. We made this the focus for their bonus, and at the end of the year, my vice president and I sat down 15 minutes with every general manager in a video conference and reviewed what they had on that single-page strategy. We had the power to give them 0.5 of their bonus, so only half, or up to 1.5, 1.5 of their bonus, based on how well they did in stopping recurrence of the prevalent issue. So that's how we saved millions of euros and dollars and so on for our customers. And if you want to learn more about this, there's a program that ECXO has with me for the masterminds and the master classes. Ricardo, do we have some questions?
So people are quiet today. I don't know why, but they are quiet. So I don't see any questions. But so the next meeting that you are going to have about CX metrics, CX ROI metrics in the 5th of June. Okay, so I invite you, all of you, to come. And I think we are going to close plus minus the picture of what we are here. That is to help you to understand how ROI is extracted in a certain way from CX in a practical way. Okay, that's the way we are acting here. And I think it's very clear the things that Lynn is explaining, and I think she's one of the best in the world that are talking about this specific subject that have many people saying many different things that are not always accurate. We have a question here. Any
great.
thoughts on how services to sales strategy fits into all this? Denise Power is asking.
Oh, fantastic. Yes. You know, sales is really the whole beginning of setting customers' expectations. So I've been thinking quite a lot about the definition of an ideal customer profile. Who is your top customer segment? Is it really the sweet spot for your operations, or is it just a very lucrative vertical? So usually the business development people, the sales and marketing, They do their forecast. They figure out, here's our top customer segment. We really want to go strong with them because they're spending the most. That's the group we're relying upon for our revenue. But the problem is they're doing that in a silo. So the customer experience people can do the same type of work with us that I was describing to help these groups, marketing, business development, sales, to have a better definition of the top customer segment and how they're going to manage the expectations proactively so it exactly matches the strengths you have in operations. This is how sales can help minimize churn, which really is a blessing to them because every time you have churn, it puts more pressure on sales to make up for that and have the increase month by month. So it's only common sense that you would want to include sales in this type of single page strategy, and I would be glad to talk with you about it in detail.
And she have a follow-up here. Might a transcript be available this session? Yes, you can. We are going to share. It is already online. Okay, all the videos will stay online, so you can go to our YouTube or here. It doesn't matter in the link. You have everything's there. All right. If something, just let me know and I will send you. I hope I answer your question. Sure. Denise Power. All right. The people can find you. I can answer that already because we did a session before. So you can find Lynn in the LinkedIn. All right. She's always there. You can drop her a message and she'll contact you. Sure. Thank you. And our next session is about Gold CX ROI metrics. Okay, so please share. We are going to share this event, I think, next week. So you will be aware of that.
So mark your calendar for June 5th.
Exactly.
Same time. Yep.
Thank you so much, Lynn, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for coming and us to sharing the. Okay, thank you so much for practicality, by the way.
Lots of fun. See you around.
Bye-bye.